Okay guys, hey, in this video, I'm going to teach you how new information is the key to actually creating the change that you want. So if you want to make more money, if you want to have better relationships, if you want to have improved health, all of those things, there's a common denominator and you need to get new information. And before I go into this, I really want to take a second and make some distinctions about information, because information isn't created equally. So if you knew how to build a website back in the day on something like MySpace, right? Maybe that was valuable then, but it's not really valuable today. And there may be some principles that overlap with, say, building a website today, but by and large, things are way different now than then. So that information is really transitory. It doesn't have a long lifetime of value as compared to if you think about wisdom, principles, big strategies for life that are really timeless. And that sort of information, the sooner you learn it in life, the longer you get to apply it over your life. And so that's really some of the most valuable information. If you've ever read Warren Buffett's shareholder letters or read any of his essays or Charlie Munger's, you'll really see that these guys have a lot of life principles and wisdom. And while they do have industry-specific knowledge, the wisdom is what has allowed them to do the things that they've done. And so I want to make that distinction really quick, because when we're speaking about information and speaking about certain things, and I talk a lot about money and business and self-improvement. Those are really like the things that I talk most about. And there's a lot of people on the internet that will tell you you don't need more information, you just need to go do the thing. And well, yes, you have to go do the thing. Like, if you're not doing the thing, no amount of new information is going to help. But at the same time, I sort of disagree. I think I heard Alex Hormozi say that at one point, like, you don't need any new information. And the funny thing is he is constantly seeking out new information. Now, when he finally arrived on the right thing, he took massive amounts of action. And that's critical. So you've got to have the action. You've got to have the behavior. You've got to have the character of the person that can do that. If you don't have that, you won't get the big results. But you also have the law of exposure. And if you don't know something's possible, if you don't have a wide enough view of the world, if you haven't been introduced to a number of concepts in the world, then you're going to have a limited assortment to pull from. It's going to be very difficult to actually know the right direction to go. And so I think that's why, Kevin Kelly says, when you're in your 20s, like, go learn everything, try new things, because so many people never really take the time to do that. And without that law of exposure, if you want to go make millions of dollars, but you've only ever hung around people that make $50,000 a year, well, you've got all these limiting beliefs that have come from them, and it's incredibly difficult to go do something like that. But on the flip side, if you go get in the room with people who've made millions of dollars and people who are learning how to do that, and you get in that sort of atmosphere, well, you get new information and you get exposure. So that's the law of exposure, that if you don't know something's possible, well, you might not even think of it in the first place. So you've got to have a wide range of exposure. But then going back to what I said at the start about wisdom, like, part of that is connecting seemingly unrelated concepts from over here, from over here, from over here, from over here. And it's really that ability to connect those concepts that allows you to take that information, synthesize that information, and go turn it into action. And that's what a lot of people can't do. And first of all, they probably can't do it for several reasons. They haven't actually learned how to think. But another reason is their life is full of information, but it's not full of value. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of people who spend an enormous amount of time watching sports. And does that have value emotionally? Yes, it does. But does that have value in translating into actionable, new actionable information to help them go do the thing that they want to do? Probably not. Like if you need to know how to build funnels, how to, do copy, direct response marketing, videos, whatever it may be, watching sports is not going to take you there. And so, yes, you're getting information, but it's really a distraction. It's really information that doesn't have value in relationship to the direction you say that you want to go. And so that's a big thing, because I talk to a lot of people and they're telling me all the things that they want to do. And when you're young, the world may reward you some tiny bit for your aspirations, for your dreams, for your goals. But if at some point you don't take action on those, then the world is kind of like, yeah, I don't care if you have big dreams. I don't care what you have. Like, you're not an action taker. Like, you're not somebody that gets results. You're not somebody that takes new information and turns it into action. And that's really the key. So where I'm going with this is, if you're in that spot and you're buying into some of this media hype on social media, where you're like, okay, I don't need any new information. I don't need any new information. And of course, you're watching the YouTube video, getting new information. But don't be distracted by fallacies, because you can be taking action. Like if you're working and you've only got one business, or you're trying to start your own business and you're working in a job, you need new information. Like you're going to have to figure out how to do that. And if you can pay for new information, if you can get new information faster, then that can accelerate your process versus you having to go out there and find the most relevant, pertinent information to your cause. But make no mistake about it, most people have a massive gap between the information they need and where they're at right now. So you've got to close that gap, but I will say that gap is worthless if you don't also go from being somebody who takes action and closes the gap with action, because your behavior has to match. No amount of new information about doing anything is going to do you any good without that. But you can take a lot of action, and if you don't have the right information, it can amount to nothing. So in order to find the right strategy, and this has been one of my personal journeys with my current business, in order to find the right information, I had to go learn a ton of information, because everybody will tell you something different. And it's kind of like, to the man with a hammer, the world's a nail. And it's really true, because so many people out on the internet will tell you, you've got to do it this way, you've got to do it this way, you've got to do it that way, you've got to do it that way. And I get it. Those are all ways that have worked for them, but you can tell that there's multiple different ways to solve a problem. And so that's the law of exposure. You have to first identify your talents so that then you can identify the appropriate channel and vehicle that you need to weaponize that new information and then turn it into action, which is going to lead to results. So guys, I know this video is a little ambiguous, but it's a massively important thing. And I see a lot of people get stuck here where, you know, they're just working hard, and they're like, no, I don't need any new information. I just need to have better daily habits. I just need to, you know, just buckle down and have more discipline. And I'm like, yeah, but is that going to bring you closer to your goal? I'm like, you could do the same thing with daily habits for 10 years, like you're talking about, and it's not going to bring you closer to what you are telling me that you want. Does that make sense? So if that's the case, then you're going to have to find some new information. You're going to have to find something to close that gap. You're going to have to do something different, because if you keep doing what you're doing and it's headed east, and what you really want is in the direction of west, you got to get some new information, some direction, some clarity in order to close that gap. And don't be discouraged by what you hear online from people telling you to just work harder. Part of work is new information, implementation. It's not just implementation all the time without learning, without feedback, without actually, you know, growing and having progress there. So again, I know this is a bit broad, but it's really important because, I don't know, I just make contrarian videos for me personally, because I look out there and I say, what am I seeing? And what about this doesn't pass the sniff test? What about this doesn't actually make sense? And how are there probably a large percentage of the people that are watching those things who are getting advice that's not actually helping them move forward, and they need something that is a bit more nuanced, not just one hard statement, because ultimately that's what it is. Like, you need a degree of nuance in order to understand it, and you don't get to wisdom, you don't get to principles and strategies that are timeless without going through a few road bumps, or at least most people don't. But once you make that distinction on the information that you're trying to learn, then you can distinguish what's more valuable information versus what is more transitory information that's going to go out of style, which is one of the reasons why I wrote my book, is because I prefer to focus on things that have a sense of timeless value. Human behavior, psychology, these things haven't actually changed. And when you really go deep on them, you find that you can get results in so many areas really fast, because people are the same. Like, most business problems are people problems, and most relationships, people problems, man. Relationships, health, mostly people problems to a certain degree, because you know, people struggle with their health. Well, you know, they struggle with discipline, they struggle with consistency, they struggle with keeping their commitments, they struggle with rationalizing things to themselves. So all of that is human behavior. And when you can understand that, it doesn't matter what role, what business you go into, you can start seeing the world on a foundational level that allows you to translate, again, those seemingly disconnected concepts into something that then you can just turn into action, make some slight changes, get results. So guys, hope this helps. My name's Kalen Compass. I'm an author, wrote this book here. I'll put a link down in the comments. I wrote it for men, get a ton of reviews from women on it as well. It's pretty cool. So guys, hope this video helps. Be great.